Hi, this is Sherry from OurLifeHomeschooling.com. I'm sharing today another interview with a homeschool mom. I took a little bit of a break around Christmas and New Year's. We're a family of 10, so getting prepared for Christmas and making all the arrangements and celebrating with the family, as well as the cleanup, is a lot of work. So it was nice to take a break and refuel ourselves, and we are back in the swing of homeschooling. We have cleaned up from the holidays, and I am ready to interview more moms to share their stories with you. The interview I have today is with my friend Connie. This was recorded back at the beginning of November, actually, the night of the election. So the connection is a little bit sketchy at some points, I think because the internet was just overloaded that night. But if you can stick through some of those touchy spots, it's just a great interview. Connie has been homeschooling for a long time. She started back when I did, over 10 years ago. She has a 16-year-old and she has children. She has 7 children. Her youngest is still, I believe, in preschool. So she has the gamut of ages, and they're also in the process of adopting a little girl. So that's something extra that they're taking on this year. What I love about this interview is that Connie is a mom that has been there through all the phases, the down days, the great days when you feel like you're making progress. And I just think this is something that is undervalued and underestimated. When you find a mom that's been doing this over the long haul, you really need to pick her brain and find out what she's doing and what makes it work and why she loves it so much that she's been sticking with it. I just think that Connie has a lot to offer. She answers one question, which is, how do you do it all? And I thought her answer was excellent, and I can't share it with you, but it encouraged me, and I hope it will encourage you. So here is my friend Connie. Hi, Connie.
Hi, Sherry. How are you?
Good, good. We've had a pretty good day here. How about you?
We have too. Yes, a little bit of excitement with the presidential election today and deciding to move, kind of a little bit spur of the moment. So our day was an exciting one of cleaning up the house, and we spent some time at my mom's house then because we needed to be out while they took pictures of our house. So
Oh,
it
wow.
was a good day.
Yeah, that is a lot all in one day.
Yes.
Oh my. Well, I'm gonna just let you introduce yourself to the
Okay.
people who are listening.
Okay. Well, my name is Connie Weaver, and I am a homeschool mom of 7. I've been married to my husband, Eric, for 19 years. And we've homeschooled. Our oldest daughter is 16 now, and our youngest is 3. And we've homeschooled since Ladea was in preschool. So it's really a way of life for us. Um, my husband is a bivocational pastor, so that means that our schedule is busy, um, but it's a good busy, and homeschooling has actually worked really well with that because when he's home, the kids are home too. So um, that's about it. We
Okay.
have 6 girls and 1 boy, and we are actually in the process of adoption too of a little girl. So we will soon have 7 girls and 1 boy. We're really
And we've been following you in the process of your adoption, and it's just exciting. It's exciting to feel like you're a part of it and to see the progress. And watch someone else
Yeah.
go through the ups and downs of it. So,
Yes.
and I'm sure it'll be even more special when you bring her home and, you know, for the rest of us to actually see the face with
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. It's been a long process. So sometimes you can forget that there's a face behind the process, but we're so excited to meet her and then to introduce her to our friends too.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
So, did you always plan on homeschooling? Um, have you were you homeschooled? This is something I can't even actually remember. I know we've probably talked about it.
yeah, I was actually homeschooled from fifth grade on. So I went to a private little Mennonite school until fourth grade. And then I really wanted to be homeschooled. So my mom decided to try it for a year. And after that year, I kind of wanted to go back to school, but she really felt like she was called to do this now. And so she homeschooled me and my two brothers through. My youngest brother actually was homeschooled from kindergarten all the way through.
Oh wow.
And it was a really, really good experience for me. I felt like I was able to pursue the things that, especially in my high school years, the things that I felt called to. And um, I was really close to my mom because of it.
Mm.
And so when we got married, I just really desired to homeschool our children and give them that opportunity and experience too.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband had gone to private school until eighth grade and then was homeschooled through high school. I mean, not homeschooled, I'm sorry. He went to public school then through high school. So he was not very sure about homeschooling initially,
Okay.
but we tried it, the first couple of years and he really saw the fruit. And now he's like my biggest supporter with
Yeah.
it. So, yes,
Oh,
I've always desired to homeschool our children.
yeah. That's great. That's great. I feel like if you have your spouse on your side, if your spouse is supportive, then it's just a huge advantage and an encouragement
Yes.
a mom. I mean, it would be really hard to keep going if you didn't have that support, or um, even if your husband, would question if you're doing a good enough job. I mean, I think part of it is um, they do see how good it is for kids. And I know, like,
Right.
just speaking for Nelson, when he would see some of the things our kids were doing and learning and how well they were doing, he just was so proud and wanted us to continue. Like, he didn't want any other options because they were just doing great. And
Right.
um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and you do have the off days too. And so when your husband is there to support you and tell you, like, I see the fruit, it's okay, this is just a bad day,
yeah,
that is
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, and bring it back into perspective for you, because it's easy to
Yeah.
lose perspective when you're in the middle of a lot.
Yes. Yes. I'm like, I'm surrounded and I think like this is not working at all. And my husband can see the big picture and say, no, 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 this is working.
Working. Yeah.
Just step back a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I'll ask you the question that I'm sure you've had a lot of people ask you, and that is, how do you do it all? Your oldest is 16, and your youngest, Sarah, is, you said 3. Sarah's 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's almost like balancing, a couple, like 2 full-time jobs, because you have all the work that comes with the house and, taking care of the meals and laundry and just the general keep up, and then school. How do you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the simple answer is that sometimes I don't balance it all well, but I have also found that homeschooling and having children is probably the thing that has made me more dependent on the Lord than anything else. And so it's really not my strength, but it's His strength working in me. Um, and I don't do it all. I think that's part of it too, is there are things that I just have to say no to because of the season of life that I'm in and because I've made this my priority.
Mhm.
So there are things that I would love to do, but I know that they're not for this season of life.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
also, I mean, it's really challenging having the wide age range that we have, but it's also really neat because the older kids, as they get older, they become very helpful. They're
Mhm.
also more independent. So, there's just, I think people look at a large family and they're like, oh my goodness, like, but you don't have like 7 3-year-olds, like, they're all at different stages and have different abilities with the way that they help around the house too. So, we have chore charts and we work together as a family. Like I couldn't keep the whole house or do all the cooking and do all the homeschooling. So we
Mhm.
we really work together a lot. So which I love that about homeschooling though, because it feels like a very holistic way to learn. You're not just doing book work, you're learning to keep the house, you're learning to cook meals, you're learning hospitality, like how to host people. And because we're challenging at times, like it would be easier to send them all away and just get things done. And obviously, I guess there's times for that too, where it's like, you know what, you need to go out and play, and I'm just gonna get this done. But for the most part, it's just such a neat way to disciple our children and
Mhm.
and to be able to walk with them, and it also helps you to be able to get it all done or to get at least done what absolutely needs to be done some days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think um, I I had jotted a few things down with that, and I just have found too that time in God's Word in the morning before the kids wake up and to be able to pray and is just crucial for me. Like
I
that
agree.
is my life. Like that's my like the air, that I breathe, and I cannot do what I'm doing without his strength. So, and then sometimes I just do need to ask for help, either from my husband or a friend, or like there are times where I can't do everything. So,
Mm. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to ask for help. Um,
but yeah, good to know that you're weak. And I think this more than anything, to you this. What
right.
did you say?
I'm sorry, you were cutting up a little bit.
I
Your
think,
connection was cutting up. Um,
okay,
yeah.
you were cutting out too. So I think I
Okay.
might have missed something you said.
Oh, I can't remember what I said, but that's okay. Um, I think
Okay.
it was that yes, I relate to. Oh, I think I said sometimes it is hard to ask people for help, to ask other people, because it's just it's easier to just think, oh, I should do it or I can do it, and but we do need help sometimes, and there are often a lot of people that are willing, or want to help, um, and I agree with you. If I can get up in the morning and get some time in to just read my Bible, be alone, and just refuel before the kids wake up, it really makes all the difference in my day, and
Yeah.
makes all the difference in my attitude and just feeling fueled and ready for what's coming. So, um,
Yes.
how about having, oh, you were mentioning about having older kids being really helpful. How do you homeschool since you still have some preschoolers and younger kids? Because that's a challenge.
Yes. Yeah. Well, my older kids wake up um, fairly early, usually between 6:30 and 7, and so they're usually doing math before breakfast so that as I'm making breakfast, I can kind of help with a problem here or there if they need help. Um, and then we do breakfast together. Morning time where we're reading the Bible, do usually one thing, whether it's a picture or a composer, that kind of going our separate ways. And I'm focusing more on the little ones. The older kids have their list that they're working through, and I'm of course interjecting on task, but I'm working primarily with my little my 6-year-old and my 8-year-old, and then my causing some problems. But I also have take breaks, like sometimes at about a 15-minute break each one of them, and they'll take her. Usually they're going outside for 15 minutes, and they'll take Sarah with them. So we just kind of work it out. If one of the older kids gets finished with their school in the morning, I have them start making lunch. And but yeah, I mean, it is challenging, and some mornings I'm like, oh, that was a fail.
Yeah.
Just felt like I was bouncing all over the place. But even those mornings, they might feel like a fail, but they're really not. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of character training, a lot of, just learning to live life and get your work done in the midst of real life happening. So
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed this with your kids, but I've noticed that when my kids were all younger, I felt like I was doing a lot more foundational work, whereas now that we still have younger kids, but I just remember doing more busy boxes or planning things so that I could work with the older kids, whereas now a lot of times the younger ones are just so interested in what everyone's doing for school that I don't know, they follow the older kids,
yeah,
distracted by or wanting to see what they're doing, and they don't need as much constant direction as I felt like it was when I had all young kids. That's one thing that has felt like a big difference.
yeah, I would agree with that. And even just like Sarah is able to sit and just play with a thing of Play-Doh while we're working at the table, or she has her little workbook and she's wanting to be working too. It does feel like she's able to be incorporated more into what we're doing rather than needing to have something completely separate. I would agree with that.
Yeah. So what would you say is your biggest challenge or has been throughout your homeschooling years?
I was thinking about this afternoon, and I think my biggest challenge is probably the way that I think about it, honestly, like just keeping the right mindset and mentality that even if I have a day that I don't accomplish everything I set out to, or there's just a lot of like character issues that are coming up with, so we're not getting the schoolwork done, or, my little one is just having an off day. So I feel like I'm bouncing around, and I struggle with feeling like I'm not giving my kids not even a quality education, but more just quality time, because we do have a larger family. I think I really like to do relationships well.
Yeah.
And so just managing having one-on-one time with my children is really important to me, and making sure I'm reading through what my older kids are writing, and I want to have like discussion with them about what they're writing and what they're reading. And I want to be sitting and playing with my younger ones. Like, this is just like my ideal, and the ideal just does not happen every day.
Yes.
Or even sometimes every week. And so I think just really learning to think, you know what, like this morning I sat with Sarah and I helped her get dressed, and we had a really sweet time while I was getting her ready for the day. And that's meaningful. Like, it doesn't have to be like an hour that I'm like playing in the backyard with her,
Or even something
and just even just
something planned.
right. or even we're talking as we're driving in the car about things that we're reading or about the election, or
Mhm.
we're talking all the time, but somehow in my mind that doesn't count because I'm not sitting down and having like a planned discussion where I have questions that I'm so I think just thinking well about the times that we do have and not getting so caught up in what my ideal is, like that it has to look a certain way, but being thankful for the little moments throughout the day where I'm reading to my littles, or I'm just sitting and talking to my audience, or we're cooking and talking while we're cooking.
Mhm.
I think that's something the Lord, I think, has actually really been addressing in my life. But I think as I look back over homeschooling, that's probably been my biggest struggle is just not thinking well about and being thankful for the times that I have had, missing the moments that we did have because I'm thinking like what didn't look the way I thought it should have, you
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
or it was just messier than I would have liked it to be.
Right, right. Yeah. I heard one mom say to write it down, and I don't do that regularly, but I have had times where I've had those same thoughts because relationships are really important to me also, and making sure that you really are knowing where your kids are at and having those conversations, and
Right,
regularly kind of checking in with them and seeing where they really are. And I remember hearing someone say to just write things down. And um, I know that when I've done that, I have felt like it did help my thinking because because you forget.
right,
And then when you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, we did this and I did that, and we had really good times. I sometimes think that we moms are harder on ourselves than we should be. That
yeah,
things, from our kids' perspective, especially if you're intentional, I think that they think we're available and we
right,
are listening, and of course not perfectly, and we lose it sometimes, but um,
right.
yeah, I've tried that a couple times, and yeah, I haven't done it in a long time, but I remember feeling like because I've had that same thing where you just want to make sure that you're getting quality time with each of them, and
Right.
uh,
Yeah, that does sound helpful. It's almost like a gratitude journal, like just being thankful for what is instead of
yeah,
thinking of what's not.
yeah, yeah, right, right.
Uh, yeah, I like that. I might try that.
um, so, how about your family? Do you have any special hobbies or things that you guys like to do together? I feel like every family has a different flavor. Like everybody has, different personalities or different interests, so you just never know where someone's, interests lie and where they're,
Yeah, we love to explore different parks. So, especially when the kids are young, like all of our kids were younger, we would take them to almost every week, try a new park and just explore it. As they've gotten older, my husband played soccer as a kid and he just loves soccer. So, he's coached their team some through a homeschooling league. But this year, he just decided every other Saturday to get some families together and play soccer with them. And so I don't play a lot, but like all of my kids love soccer. My husband loves soccer, and I like watching. And I did actually play a little bit this last Saturday with
very
them.
good.
I think soccer is probably a pretty big thing with our family.
Mm.
Um, and
Yeah,
we love
our
to
kids
travel.
played soccer with your kids a ton.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, my husband just had his birthday on Halloween actually, and the kids decided to get him bigger soccer goals for his birthday. And I was like, "Are these for you or are they for him?" But they were sure he would love it, and he did. He was pretty thrilled.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So, yeah, so I would say that we love to read. I mean, in the evenings, we're almost all like gathered in the living room reading. Sometimes together, but a lot of times they're just all have a book. And we like to travel too. I think our most memorable trip was when we traveled down to Texas to visit friends, and we drove and stopped in Tennessee on the way there, and then in Alabama on the way back. We took like 2 weeks, and we still just all talk about that. It was just
Oh, wow.
an epic family trip.
Yeah, memory maker.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks, Connie, for sharing with us. I have found this really helpful, and I feel like I learn so much from everybody. Just hearing your personality, hearing your heart. It's encouraging to me. So I really appreciate you sharing your family with us and telling us what homeschooling looks like in your home. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Sherry. Thanks for doing this. I'm always encouraged when we get chances to sit and talk.
Yes, I know. It's rare without all the kids.
Yes.
All right. Have a good night, Connie.
All right. You too. Thanks, Sherry.